Today, I want to introduce you to 4 different ways that you can extricate yourself from the growth trap. Now, most small business owners, they grow their company up to a certain point and then they plateau. And they plateau because they are their own bottleneck and they can't sell their business because it's not really sellable yet. And they can't grow because they're working themselves to death. And so they're trapped. And that's what I call the growth trap. And so today I'm going to share with you 4 different pathways to extricate yourself from this growth trap. My name is Jeff Schuster with Mechanics and Mindset Business Coaching. I started, I grew, and then I sold a multi-million-dollar business. And I now coach other small business owners. And I publish weekly videos just like this one. So I would love it if you can like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm going to give you some insightful tips and tricks on how to grow your small business in the weeks to come. Now, most small business owners, they start out as an employee working for some company, and then at some point they decide, you know what, I want to do my own business and my own company, and I want to make my own money, and I'm this independent go-getter, I'm innovative and I'm creative, and I want to start something that's really different than what my company can do, and I want to be rewarded for that new thing that I create. So that's the typical small business owner who leaves a business and then grows their own small business. Now, they also understand that at some point they need to exit their business. Now, most new business owners aren't thinking of exit, but once they get into the middle of their business growth strategy, they're definitely thinking of, well, how do I get out of this thing at some point? And how do I get out of it in a good way? Now, there's basically 6 ways to exit a business. Now, there are 3 bad ways and 3 good ways. The 3 bad ways are you could just die and let your estate planner deal with all of those problems. I mean, you're dead and gone. Your family may have to deal with it, but you just die and somebody else has to deal with the problems. The second way is that you could file for bankruptcy. You can't pay any of your debts, and so you file for bankruptcy. Maybe you find a job, your employees, they find jobs someplace else. Or you can pay your debts and you just walk away. So you pay off everything and you just quit, and your employees find jobs. Maybe you find a job someplace. Those are 3 ways that you really don't want to exit your building, or at least I hope that that is not in your vision, to exit your building or exit your business, sorry. The 3 ways that you would like to exit your business is to sell your business. Sell it for a lot of money to somebody so that that can fund your retirement. You can pay for all of the things that your family needs and you need, and you can enjoy travel or whatever it is, recreation, and your retirement. The other way is to leave it to your family, generational wealth, so that you can transfer it to your kids or to your kids' kids, or however that's going to work for you. But that you let your heirs actually inherit your business and this wealth creating machine that you've created. Or the third way, that's a positive way, is you could sell it to your employees. Your employees can buy out your company and they can run it and take it over from you. And again, you still get that payoff because they're buying it from you. Now, the unfortunate part about all of this is that most small business owners do not use one of those 3 positive ways to exit their business. And the reason that they don't do that is because they become an integral part of their business, especially if their business is a little bit non-traditional. In other words, if it's a restaurant, maybe a franchise restaurant, and they always do things the same way all the time, and that's just something that you buy, that's just a cash machine. And that's good, that's a good business, but that's not the type of innovative, creative business owner that I'm talking about today. So I was this innovative, creative business owner once upon a time. Hopefully I still am, but I actually got myself into a growth trap. But I want to explain that before I describe how you get yourself out of the growth trap. I started a company. It was a business called Ennovate, E-N-N-O-V-A-T-E Corporation. Now, at first, it was just me. I started off on my own, and I joined another group of folks, and we consulted with electric utility companies, and we helped them start up energy services companies. Now, in my case, I had worked for Honeywell, which was a gigantic company, and they had an energy services company offering. And so that's where I learned a lot of how to do that. But I felt like the electric utilities could do a much better job because they had access to some big energy users, right? They were the electric utility, and that was a big part of what they did. So we consulted with electric utilities. They started up energy services companies, and I helped them do that. And an energy services company, for those of you that don't know, they retrofit buildings, they change out their heating, their cooling, their lighting systems, they install renewable energy systems that are much more efficient, they reduce their utility bills, and those cost reductions are used to pay for whatever improvements were used in the project. And those projects are called performance contracts. So I did this for a little while, but I still wanted to do my own energy services company, so I stopped doing some of the consulting, and Innovate then started to hire employees. We started to grow. I hired engineers, salespeople, commissioning agents, construction managers, a lot of administrators, and we grew to 30 employees, and we were doing about $10 million a year in revenue. Now, financially, our company, or my company, was a success. We always had a profitable year, every year, year over year, and we were growing for the most part. We had a few roller coaster rides where we had some dips, but for the most part, we were on an uptrend as a company. So you'd think, oh, well, Jeff, that's a great company. You could sell that company, right? Wrong. In fact, Innovate was spread very thin. Innovate did a lot of different things. We did commissioning projects, so we would commission buildings to make sure to the building owner that the building actually operated the way it was supposed to, so that it would use less energy for the life of the building. We also sat on design teams that were constructing new buildings so that they got advice from an energy efficiency expert on the right things to do from an energy perspective, so that their building didn't consume a ton of energy when they opened it up. We did performance contracts just like all ESCOs do. We offered over 100 different energy conservation measures in those retrofits. We also offered peak load engineering services for large energy services companies. So when they had these large projects and they needed to staff it with engineers, we had some really good engineering horsepower to help them out. We installed renewable energy systems, photovoltaics, and a lot of ground source heat pump systems. So we were doing a lot of different things. And not only that, we had different unique market segments, so different customers that we were selling to in the institutional building owner marketplace. And on top of that, we were working in 4 different states, and each state had different procurement laws as it related to performance contracting, particularly in the public sector. So our company was spread very thin for such a small company. And what was happening was each year we were struggling to make our profitability or our revenue for that year. And I was always afraid that one year I wouldn't be able to make the revenue number and I'd have to lay people off. And I really didn't want to do that. So every year I would try to innovate, and I'd try to figure out a different pathway to make the money that we needed to survive for that year. And so what our business looked like over time was, once upon a time you were a utility consultant. The next time you were this small energy services company. Then you started to grow into commissioning, and you were doing all of these different things. And every year, year over year, a business broker would look at our business and they'd say, well, you don't really have a predictable revenue or profitability. It's hard for me to even know what you are. I mean, are you a general contractor? I don't even know what an ESCO is. You're doing all of these free energy audits. That doesn't make any sense. And so they couldn't figure out who we were as a company. And so it was hard for me to package Innovate in a way to either attract investment or to sell Innovate to another company where we could actually grow with their cash investment. And then I could get some money to retire on for myself. So I was definitely an example of a business owner who had gotten and fallen into the growth trap. I couldn't exit the company, and I couldn't grow it anymore because I was just working too much. Now, before I get into the ways to exit this growth trap, I'm a core energy coach, and so I think it's important to pull in the core energy coaching principles here. Now, I was not educated on core energy coaching when I was in the growth trap, and I wish that I had. I am now. So I want to talk about these principles. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about what core energy coaching is, I advise you to watch my video called What is Core Energy? And I've left the link below, but it's also on this YouTube channel. So if you subscribe to this channel, you can just go back and look at that video. It was recorded a few weeks ago. So we're going to focus today, though, on energy levels 5 and 3. So level 5 is called opportunity. The core thought of level 5 is win-win. Now, most entrepreneurs or business owners who find themselves in the growth trap are these level 5 win-win entrepreneurs. They see opportunity around every corner. I mean, everything, every shiny object is an opportunity for success. It's an opportunity for win-win. Your customers are going to benefit, your company's going to benefit, you're going to make money, everything's going to be just great. The problem with that is that win-win entrepreneurs, they're seeking out all of these opportunities, and they're really leaving waste in their path. Why? Because their employees are not at that win-win level 5 level. Most employees that work for a company, they're trying to make a good living for their family. They're trying to advance themselves, their own profession. And quite frankly, when all of these new different opportunities keep popping up year over year, you don't feel very good about your job security. You don't know if you're going to have a job the next year, because next year the opportunity may be in some area that you're not skilled in, and so your job may go away. And so most employees are not going to follow you on this level 5 journey of yours as an entrepreneur or business owner. Now at level 3 people are not innovators. Level 3 people are survivors. The title of level 3 is acceptance. And it's really one of these levels that is growth oriented, but it's on nurturing growth within a core competency level. It's not seeking outside of itself to try to create success through new opportunities that are emerging. And so because your employees are probably closer to level 3 than they are to level 5, they're going to probably help you out succeed in a level 3 venture. So from a core energy perspective, to get yourself out of the growth trap, you have got to go from level 5 down to level 3. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, so Jeff, you're a core energy coach, and I always thought that higher energy levels are better. And my only answer to that is it just depends on where you are. Each energy level actually has an appropriate fit based on your situation. So if you are stuck in the growth trap that I've just described, your way out is actually level 3. So please try to get to level 3. So in order to get out of the growth trap, there's one thing that you have to do. You have to stop innovating. You have got to stop creating all of these new opportunities. That is not your way out of the growth trap. And I know for you level 5 entrepreneurs, that is a tough pill to swallow. So with that said, I now want to tell you the 4 different pathways out of this growth trap that I've described. The first pathway is probably the simplest, and it's the first thing that you ought to try. And that is just cut your unneeded products and services. Now, this is really hard for a level 5 entrepreneur because they see the opportunity in every one of their products and services. So you have to objectively look at your business, look at all of the different things that you do, and cut at least half of the things that are not actually serving you well. So all of these things that you think are helping you are probably hurting you. And here's a good template to use when you make your cuts. If there is something that your business does that is really unique, it sets you apart, it differentiates you from everybody else, that is something that you're going to want to keep, even if it's not making money. You may need to change how it's priced, or how the financials look on it, but that is something that you need to keep. If that's a big core part of who you are as a business, just make that a profitable thing. Then the next template item is look at the products and services that are trending up and that are making you money, because those are the keepers. Those are things that customers are apparently telling you that they want and need, which is actually the third template item, is make sure that the things that you keep are things that customers desperately want and need and will need and want in the future as well. So those are keepers. Cut everything else, honestly. So that's the first step, is to cut. The second step is what I call creating a single entry point sales process. Most of the complexity that's happening in service-based businesses is happening because the business owner has created all of these different products and services, and the poor salespeople and marketing people that they hire, they're trying to learn all of these different nuances and things, and the business owner is upset because they're a critical thinker. They can think on their feet. They can go to a customer's sales call and they can create a whole brand new product that didn't even exist before. That is not the kind of sales that you can train other salespeople and other marketing people to do. They cannot do that kind of critical thinking. And if they can, they're probably running their own business, right? So create this single entry point sales process. You can still keep a wide variety of products, but you have to make your sales process simple and singular so that your salespeople know it like the back of their hand and they can execute it. A great example is Dell. Now, Dell Computer Company makes computers, as I'm sure you would guess. And the way it works is it starts with this single entry point. You want a computer. So you go to the Dell site, you want a laptop or do you want a desktop? You pick, and then you start picking what kind of memory you want, how much RAM do you want, what type of RAM. And what Dell does on their website is they educate you on every feature that a computer could possibly have. And so you enter the Dell website and you start off maybe with a $500 desktop computer. And you leave the Dell website buying a $3,000 powerhouse machine. Now, Dell does not go to you and say, hey, you need this $3,000 powerhouse machine. And they certainly don't go to you and say, hey, we've got 10,000 different options of computers. Do you have like 10 days where we can go through these for you, and now you can pick the machine that's best for you? No, they have one single entry point. You need a computer. And then you create the complexity that you want with your own computer based on your specific needs. So if you can create a single entry point sales process, that is going to simplify your business tremendously, so that when people come to buy from you, they know exactly where to start. Your salespeople know exactly where to start them and how to walk them through the process of building their powerhouse machine. The third pathway out of the growth trap is to hire experts in each product category that you offer as a small business. Now, let's say you go through that first pathway and you cut as much as you can, but there are still 4 products that you really feel are the best for your business. They're the most profitable. They're the things that all of your customers need. There's 4 of these products. Hire experts to deal and to lead each one of these product categories. Now, these experts are not cheap people. And in fact, these people are entrepreneurs by their own right. And in fact, instead of paying them just a salary, you will probably have to pay them a share of equity in your company. And these are going to be level 5 entrepreneurs, but they're going to stay focused on their category. Now that you have these other critical thinkers in your business, you don't have to do all the critical thinking and all of the innovation and the creative thinking associated with each one of those product categories. But don't go innovating more stuff, because you have got to develop this core. But these other category leaders, they can do that for you. Now, one of the keys is you have to pay them and reward them based on their financial success and their business success within their own business category. and you have to penalize them if they fail to achieve whatever goals that you have set for them in that product or service category. So the fourth and final way to extricate yourself from the growth trap is through investment. Now, the chances are that you may not have the money to pay these high dollar people or even the equity. So you may need some investment capital, right? Now, a lot of people have investment capital confused. They try to get investors to invest in their business, and they don't really have a clue as to what they're trying to sell. Now, even amateur viewers of Shark Tank understand that there are three elements that every shark has to hear in that sales pitch by a small business owner, or they're not going to invest their money. The first is that you have got to show that investor that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So there has to be this big payoff. There has to be something down the road, and it has to be very believable that you're going to have all of this cash flow. This company is going to be creating this financial wealth for every one of its stakeholders, and they'll be one of those stakeholders, right? And they're just going to be this great happy ending. The second thing that you have to demonstrate to a prospective investor is what I call a cash chasm. All right, so this cash chasm is the negative cash flow on your way to the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So you can get to that pot of gold, but you can't get there without the investor's cash to fill the cash chasm. Now, the important thing to understand is that the cash that it takes to fill that chasm cannot be bigger than the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So you're not going to get an investor to invest $1 million for a $500,000 upside at the end of the rainbow. You're going to get them to invest $1 million to fill that cash chasm, to get $10 million maybe in upside when they sell the business someday, when you've reached this pot of gold situation. But they're not going to give you the fill to do anything other than that. Now, the third thing that you need is a solid plan to actually get to that pot of gold. So those three things: the pot of gold, the cash chasm, and the solid plan to actually get to the pot of gold. All right, so they'll want to help you bridge that chasm because they see the reward at the end. If you get that investment, here's what that does for your growth trap. It actually gives you some cash to invest in all of these other things that I talked about. It does not give you cash to waste on continuing to innovate and spread yourself too thin. It gives you cash to grow that core part of the business that will give every one of those stakeholders the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So those are the four methods to extricate yourself from the growth trap. First of all, you can cut some stuff that's just really not needed. Second, you can create this single entry point sales process to simplify sales and marketing. Third, you can hire experts who lead each one of your business areas, but you're going to have to pay them a lot of money, and they're definitely going to have to share in the upside. And fourth, you can get investors by making that pot of gold a compelling business plan and business case. So hopefully this has helped you understand how you can extricate yourself from a growth trap if you happen to be in a growth trap. So once again, my name is Jeff Schuster with Mechanics and Mindset Business Coaching. If you want to learn more about me and my coaching practice, you can go to www.mmbizcoach.com, and you can find out a lot more about how I coach my business owner clients. And again, I hope that you can like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm going to be offering a lot more insight for small business owners and entrepreneurs. And until we meet again, I pray that God blesses you and your business.